I think in the case of North Carolina, you've got such a long-standing history of how to run a program. Obviously, started with Coach Smith and transferred all the way to Coach Williams' return. It was inevitable that Coach Williams was not going to coach forever, and he made that decision to step away and, for all intents and purposes, picked Hubert as the next caretaker of the program. The issue is that the landscape changed, and it changed quickly and dramatically in a way that was kind of the antithesis of what Carolina was built on. And David, I ask you this question because you know better than anyone, really can't recall any player of significance that made an impact at Carolina that would even think about leaving Carolina to go someplace else that wasn't the NBA. And this is just the world that we live in now. It's a transitional time where I think there will be probably a settling of the movement, because now that NIL is supplemental to salary, and for all intents and purposes, until there's a salary cap, and this really gets unified in a proper business fashion, you may not have people chasing greener passages or pastures, I should say, as much as just trying to make sure they're solidified in their own current environment. And that's where the local ability of NIL can balance some of those things out depending on where your cap is. That's why cap management becomes so important when this 22% rev share equates to $20 million plus for most of, if not all, the higher level schools. And you have to create some sort of market value, but you also have to create some local ties. I think it will come back to having some local ties to be able to establish an identity locally that will garner you more NIL ability. And that's where the bigger markets, and certainly here you can take advantage of that. Local businesses, local entities that want to have partnerships with not just the players, but the basketball team. It'll help level the playing field. But in the interim, you can't get too far behind to where you're playing catch up. And I think to Michael's point, this is where the adjustment needs to be made by Carolina next year. Now, certainly Will Wade has come out swinging and said it's not going to be an issue for us in a year. We are, I know he said that at McNeese and he made guarantees and put that on film, but he seems to be, at least for the interim, heavily resourced by Boo Corrigan to have a chance to go in and get the best he can from a cost perspective. It really comes down to the evaluation part of that and how well he can mold that team together.